DC has evolved a lot over the years. Once the chocolate city, it's now a melting pot where culture, film, fashion, and great food collide. So what's behind all of this? Today is about what I wish you knew about DC's creative economy. When people think of DC, the first thought is usually government. And while that's true, entrepreneurship and innovation is moving the city toward a more creative economy. Film festivals, advancements in media and IT, music, art, and more. Everything happens here. So where do millennials fit in? Let's talk about it. Panels, please introduce yourself.
Hey, I am Waynika.
I'm Mia Victory.
So, how do you think millennials can take advantage of DC's vibrant, eclectic culture?
I think a way to take advantage is a lot of networking, being open to new opportunities of getting advancements and moving forward. So not just thinking you have to go in such a corporate setting. So just being creative, being able to look at, like, for instance, social media marketing in a company, because that's like kind of a new thing for companies, that they put a whole department that focuses solely on marketing and social media. So I think that's a way. And like I said, just having an open mind and going into new avenues, not being afraid, because you kind of have to make way, because the old ways are we're doing away with them.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Well, I agree with you there, Waynika, when you say networking. I feel like it's up to us to just really get out some more. There are so many events going on at artistic places, like Blind Wino, all of these nice venues that are artsy and you can still, be social and have a good time. The same people are planning these events, I feel like the people that are curating this culture that's growing here, they all know each other and they work together to make sure they're serving our community, in an artistic way.
I would say it starts with us first understanding that we are the generation that's supposed to take on the media and the things that we see today, the things that we look at, that being music, that being movies and TV, film, me speaking in an actor's perspective, being that that's what I want to do. So it is about networking. It's about getting to know those people that's also working in those same rounds and trying to build the same things. And just like Birdman built Cash Money and things like that, and you have Ice Cube that started his group and took it to the next level. I think that's where we are as millennials, trying to build our own organizations and our own art groups and our own music groups to try to push it forward. So by the time we're their age, we have built that same type of empower. But I do think the base of that is networking and getting out to those artistic venues that a lot of us don't really know about it. I do think that a lot of the art things that happen in the city is kind of underground, low key. You have to really know somebody that knows where that event is happening.
Yeah. So do we think that a creative economy means that you have to be okay with not having security? Because I think that was a big thing for the past of DC government jobs, working a 9 to 5 every day, having that 401k, that retirement set aside. So do we think that that's a risk that we're willing to take? Because the thing I notice about us with the creative economy is that, for instance, we want to be, same with me, I want to be an actress, but the thing is you want to work at the same time because you want to be able to afford the classes and to do those things. So do we fully immerse ourselves in the creative economy? And to what point are we using that to our full potential? Are we really giving ourselves, giving it a real try?
I think it's 50-50, but it's really 100 with yes. You have to really submerge yourself to it all to really be willing to hustle and do what it takes to get where you want to be. But then you have to be smart about it. I know I come from a blessed household with my mama and daddy. They welcomed me back in once I finished school, and they said, Brittany, we got you. As long as you continue to do good things, we can help you as much as possible. But me wanting to build and wanting to grow, I want to get my own money. I want to do my own things. But I think that support of having a family that I ain't paying for groceries, but I can still go work and put some money in saving. I think it goes both ways, but you do have to fully commit to taking on whatever it means to get your career. But I think we have to play it smart too, because you want to work a good job that's going to put this amount of money into your pocket. But you also have to think, well, if I go work in this theater and I'm a stage manager, or if I work in the box office, at least I'm getting to know the people, so then they getting to know me. Boom, I can be on their stage, hopefully.
But I mean,
Because that's a part of being creative.
with creative jobs, I mean, whether you're a painter or someone like me who wants to be, you know, in media or an on-air personality, there isn't a clear-cut path as to how to get there.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yes, you should fully put yourself in the creative economy, because there's a lot underground going on that you don't know about. And yeah.
So I think like, so for me, the creative economy, I like it because I like the idea that like we're willing to change, because DC is rich in culture, it's rich in a lot of things, but I think a lot of people who don't live here don't realize that there are people who are actually born and raised here. Like, we're from DC. They think that it's what they see on the news, which, I mean, that's normal because we're like that with other parts of the world.
Right.
But to me, like, a creative economy, I like the idea of it because it's just like, I feel like our generation is just more open. Millennials are more open to like new things and doing something a different way. Not saying that there weren't creative economies before, but being that DC is such a government strong like entity, a place that it's like, okay, now we have to learn a new way to get some money. We got to learn a new way to finesse this life, to do what we want to do, to keep pushing forward. And I love that because that says a lot about, you know, the young culture that is moving here, that are migrating here, that are coming here to make money and do different things. And then there's a push for, you know, small business owners. DC always advocates for them, whether it's letting them pay rent for something.
So we're going to come back. Make sure you hold your thought. Okay. We have to take a break, but stay tuned for more on millennials in DC's creative economy. We'll be right back. Welcome back to I Wish You Knew. Let's pick back up on our discussion on the creative economy.
So what I was basically saying was like, there was an incentive for small business owners or any business who wanted to come into like that ward of DC, like because the ward was known for being a little bit more, they had like a high crime rate. So they were allowing them to pay something like $1 to $6 a month for rent for like the first year or the first 6 months or something to that effect. But like those incentives, I think that helps breed like, you know, people that want to be a part of a creative economy, doing something that, you know, may not cost you as much now because the rent here isn't that much. So now you can set up shop in a place that's nice, that they've already, you know, rebranded and remodeled. And you get to go there and like start out your business for a little bit of money. So I
have a question for you guys. As artists, what are you doing right now to take hold and take this creative economy that DC has to offer by the hinges?
Well, I think it's nice to live in a place where the government notices that millennials are making stuff happen. So when you look at places like MLK Library, we can use the cameras, the computers, the equipment that's new, state-of-the-art, that not a lot of young people are using. I feel like those are good tools to use to do whatever it is you want to do because it's here for us.
What about you?
And then for me, I think in general, doing something like this show, being a part of something that has a greater cause, but it's allowing you to get your creative juices flowing and you get to voice your opinion, because I don't think that this is something like, other than like a news anchor or something like that, this isn't something that people would just naturally think of that they could do to be a part and add to the economy and be in it. So there's this, and then like I said, I also want to act. So I'm always looking for new avenues, whether I'm necessarily, even if I'm not being a part of the actual acting scene or the movie, I'm like, oh, well, can I work in production or can I write? You know what I mean? So just doing things that are just different. And then to experience more of the culture, I think it's different when you're from DC, because obviously we don't look at it the way other people look at it because we're from here. So when people are like, it's so much culture, it's this, it's that, it's like, maybe we're just immune to it. So we don't fully, you know, like I'm not out perusing the city as often as everybody else because I'm from here. So I think that's where I could be better at with a creative economy, getting out.
I know for me, when I moved back home from North Carolina, I was anxious to figure out what DC has to offer. You know, if I felt like since North Carolina has all of this, I know the city is going to have X, Y, and Z. But it is, again, it's hard to find those different things. Like, of course, you know about Bus Boys and Poets that does poetry night or open mic night. live casino, does karaoke. And when you think of karaoke, you think amateur singing. But no, some of those people are really going up there and singing their guts out. Yeah. So I think it varies on what you can find, but I know it's there. I know I research all the time. I know I've hooked up with a lot of my artistic friends, such as Torrin Cooper that works on this show, and him being able to get me here, like you said. I think it's about meeting those fellow millennials that's working on projects that you want to be a part of. It is about networking, and it's about sometimes thinking about how you treated people back in the day, because you see them doing X, Y, and Z, and now it's like, ooh, that would be so good. But you can't always hit people up based on your character in the past, but I know that has helped me too, knowing that other people going to McKinley and those that worked in the mass media area, they're all doing stuff now. And we all sit there and like, I can't wait to work with you.
Exactly. I think a big thing for me was when I was in college, they would always be like, look to your right, look to your left.
Yes.
Anything that I was doing, like, work with these people. These are going to be the people that you are rubbing elbows with. These are going to be your senators, your
the people that's
the president,
hire
anything,
you.
people that's going to hire you. So you just never know. So I think networking plays a big part in everything, but especially in a creative economy, because your skills are usually transferable. So if someone is doing something that maybe you have not, for instance, if it's like a production team and you've never done production, but you've done business management, they have to operate a business, so they need someone that can come in to their company to provide these services. So I think, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I like it, because it's just like, we ain't sticking to what has been done. We're trying to
do
come out. We're trying to do something.
And I think a lot of businesses are looking for that, looking for us as millennials to come into their businesses, that being a theater, that being corporate, that being government, whatever it is, we have fresh ideas. We have fresh face. We can outthink creatively some of those, not in a rude way, those 50-plus-year-olds that have done their times and that's only seeing things in their vision, not realizing that things have changed. If your social media isn't popping, or if you don't have a fan base on this, you've lost one of the biggest crowds, which is us as millennials.
But I was just, I'm sorry, I was just going to piggyback off of what you were saying. I was going to say it, but reaching out to the store owners and stuff like that, like, these are the millennials that are late 80s, whereas we're late 90s. You know, we can still get into somewhere like Maquetto, that's a marketplace for so much. You can sit down and eat, you can shop in there, you can have an event in there. Like, those are people that I think are close to us in age that we can network with, and they can put us in a position where we can have a storefront, or we can continue to contribute to H Street and U Street's developments and things like that.
It's developing,
and
it's
have
going
that
up.
younger, you know, late 90s vibe to it as well. That's what I noticed. You know, a lot of these people are just a little bit older than us, and like I said, they know each other. So we have to really put ourselves out there, whether it's you walking into a condo that's being built up because you want to have something to do with that. I mean, the opportunities, I think, are endless at this point in D.C.
It is endless, and I think it's for us. It's up to us to figure it out. Again, I do think some of us get comfortable. We don't always follow our creative juices and take that step of faith to pursue something like that, because that's not what we see. But I believe that it's the torch is passing. You know, they've done their time.
Like you said,
it's for us. It's now for us
ideas.
to be moving in. And that's what we have to take advantage of.
Yeah, like, they want our ideas.
I really love this conversation, but we need to take another break. Be sure to tweet us your favorite hangout spots in DC using hashtag Creative Economy. We'll be right back. Thanks for sticking with us. The Huffington Post recently ranked DC as one of the best cities for our generation. It's a magnet for things like education, starting a business, and of course, nightlife. Panel, what else attracts millennials to DC?
I think the pace, because there's this view of it that's like, you know, you have shows on TV like Scandal that are like basically showing you kind of what DC is like. So there's that part of the millennial that wants to be in a place of power, because DC, you know, that's what it's all about, is power. So I think there's that portion of it. And then I think, like I said, the pace, because we're like not too fast, but we're definitely not slow. So when you think of that, like we're not as slow as like a Georgia, but we're not completely just overwhelmingly overpacked and popping like New York, but we're still popping.
I think a lot of us as millennials have dreams of moving to the big city or to those big areas in New York, LA. That's where we want to be.
Major
so I
cities.
think DC is kind of the medium for us right now. I mean, yes, it's not cheap to live, but I guess you can make it happen depending on the job that you have or who you're moving here with. And it's 3-4 hours away from DC. You can get on a mega bus for $20, and I call it a baby New York. DC is really becoming a babyish big city. Like they're building up, there's more things to do, things never close sometimes. Thursday through Sunday is definitely your weekend. You can always find something to do. So that's what I would say. It's that medium base for us.
I would say diversity. Like
Yes.
DC is so diverse at this point. And also education. There are a lot of good schools out here. And I would think that majority of people just want to know what it even feels like to live in the nation's capital. Like you were saying, this is a place of power.
I think outside of power, like DC has been known to be the chocolate city, and the fact that it's evolving says a lot. But I think that can be looked at it both good and bad. So I think the positive to that is that like it's changing. So like I said, the whole topic, creative economy, has come about because of a lot of the changes and like young people coming in and wanting to be a part and things like that. I think it's interesting though, because being known, every city or every state has like their thing that they're known for. So I love that we're known as like, because of like Howard University and things like that, like the Black Mecca and stuff. So I think it's beautiful because I've heard people like Carson Bird, which we had on the show. He was talking about how when he came here, it was like he was surprised at how much people of color were flourishing and we were going towards our dreams and doing things, because in his hometown or whatever, like it wasn't that way.
Where did he live?
I think he was from Ohio or something like that. So he was just saying that like it's different. Like when he came here, he was like, oh wow, like everybody's flourishing. And a creative economy is, I think, the representation of that for us, because that's kind of how we're getting ahead. Like I see young people who are doing things like creating their own businesses online. So like YouTube, having a YouTube account, getting all of these subscribers. Now they're getting sponsorships. They're branding themselves. They're living in houses, living lifestyles that are more lavish than my parents. So I love that about it. That's the beauty of it, I think. And that can attract people because they're like, oh, well, when I went here to visit and I seen this, I was like, well, I want to come. I think it's very inviting. DC is inviting.
DC is small. For us that lived here and grew up here, you always get on the bus and you see somebody. You get on the train, you see somebody. I think it's small, but I think to that extent, it's kind of what also makes DC great. It makes it good for us. Things gets around easy. It's easy for us to pass information to say, oh, support this person, or oh, go buy this T-shirt, go do this. This person does good makeup. Oh, this person is on. I think that's what DC has to offer too for millennials that's thriving and trying to do something in this area. Also, a lot of us, those that do that network of community that's working towards something, actors, makeup artists, hairstylists, photographers, we kind of all know each other. Or if you don't know that person, you can look, oh, didn't he go to this school? Or didn't such and such of this happen? I think that's what also makes it good for the creative economy, that it's thriving to be, and that what we're doing, trying to build upon that for ourselves in our own career, I think it works in our favor most of the time.
People, and too, like, it's a lot of things here. Like, there's news anchors and all the some of BT headquarters is here. So there's opportunities for people who do hair and makeup to come here and do something that maybe if they live in a small town somewhere, they're not able to do. So there's so many different avenues to finesse and get into what you kind of want to do
and with
here.
everything going on, this is a great place to start a business.
I
Whether you
agree.
started online, this is a great place to like have a physical store if you're interested in something.
It's expensive, but I think
It's
if
worth
it's
it.
good, people will gravitate towards it here. And I know people say
think
if
so?
you make it,
You think people keep graduating? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to knock us out as millennials trying to live. DC is getting very expensive.
It is. It really is.
It really depends on, especially depending on what neighborhood you want to live in, what do you want to be around. it's not, sometimes, I mean, people are even moving out of DC, going to Maryland based on price and
for sure.
what's happening with that.
I mean, I grew up in Maryland. I still live in Maryland. And I mean, I like to pride myself on kind of knowing what goes on in DC. But you're right, because everything is coming up, prices are going up not only in DC, but in neighboring metropolitan communities, you know? So
I think
it's a good thing, but where the cost of living is high, there are always a lot of opportunities. Where the cost of living is low, there are less opportunities.
Yeah, that's true.
Hashtag that. I know
Yeah.
that's a lot, but that was good.
Hashtag creative
That was
economy.
really,
Come through.
that was really good.
I think DC, but at the same time, I know people say if you can make it in New York, you can make it
anywhere.
But no, like if you can make it in DC, you can make it anywhere because it's a lot of culture, it's a lot of this, it's a lot of that. But DC is we hard. Like we already we walking in with the mug. Like so to be creative and to make it, that's amazing to me.
But surprisingly, everyone flees DC because they feel like DC doesn't have the
have enough to
resources
offer.
to serve, especially the creative economy.
And I feel like that's a whole nother topic.
It is.
But that's all we have time for this edition of I Wish You Knew. Thank you so much for watching.